All right, welcome to the daily market recap for Wednesday, October 1st, first day of Q4. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the action today of the indexes, the liquid leaders, industry ETFs, then end the video with some long and short setups going into tomorrow like we do with every daily recap. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want my market takes throughout the trading day, along with the live stream at the open, and any trades that I personally take, you can sign up for the Market Pulse Discord using the link in the comment section. Starting things off with the NASDAQ. Government closed. Did not matter for the stock market. Today, we started with a little gap down into that 10-day moving average, into that support gap. Did not take out yesterday's lows even, shows a sign of strength. And buyers stepped in, took out the 5-day, the previous highs, and closed at a new all-time high. Very bullish action there. One thing that I will point out is it does feel like we are starting to really accelerate to the upside. We had our first test of the 50-day moving average on September 2nd, a test of the 20-day moving average on September 25th. Today, a test of the 10-day moving average. So each kind of pullback, we're pulling back less and less and less. And that's an extremely fun market to play in. It's a very high momentum market. That's where you want to make a lot of your money. But once that momentum does snap down, maybe we get a close under the 5 and the 10-day moving average. It's important to play some defense because we want to keep a lot of the profit that we've made on the upside. S&P 500, similar action, gap down, open on a low right at that 10-day moving average, reclaimed the 5-day, closed at a new all-time high. All-time high closes are not bearish. Closes over the 5-day moving average are not bearish. If you're going to be bearish, at least wait till it closes under the 5-day. Like, no reason to step in front of an accelerated move to the upside. Next, we have the growth stocks of the Russell 2000. This is the ticker IWO. Similar gap down at the open on the low, reclaimed the 10 and the 5-day moving average, and then basically closed flat. Now we've got this little flag. Do we break to the upside or do we pull back, kind of test the 20-day moving average and the support gap lower? That'll be a good little test for the market. Next, we have ARKK, continue to do what it does, higher highs, higher lows, just riding that 5-day moving average into new 52-week highs, basically every day. And then the story today, at least for me, was the strength out of Bitcoin, the follow through to the upside, back to the previous highs from around September 18th. Really, really good action. And if we zoom out here on the IBIT chart, you can see the false breakout on August 13th. That was not a great sign. And we did have quite a bit of sell off back to kind of a breakout retest from that July 9th breakout. Then we put in a higher low, and now it looks like we're putting in a higher high. And I really like the way that this is getting structured here. So market's at all-time high, Bitcoin acting well. Again, don't be bearish until we get some market feedback, giving you a reason to. Getting into the liquid leaders, first off, we have BE, new all-time highs, up another 6.7% today. Had a pretty drastic kind of 3.5-day pullback under the 20-day moving average into the support gap on September 25th. Reclaimed the 20-day moving average on that day, and then has basically gone straight up from there. Really strong action out of BE. LEU, really good action as well. Gap down, reclaimed yesterday's low, then yesterday's close, the 5-day moving average, and then closed at a new all-time high, up another 6.6%. Tesla, extremely strong action, up 3.3%, closing over a previous resistance gap that we had from December 26th to the 27th. So no more gap downs to deal with. Just a couple more points until all-time highs for Tesla. And really a chart that I think is worth studying. Really quality base here while the 200-day moving average caught up. Did not get extended, put in multiple higher lows, got very tight just before the breakout. And then from the breakout, just extremely clean action. Uptrends over the 5-day moving average, pullback supported above the 10-day moving average, and then continues higher. That's exactly what a leading stock will do. NBIS, really clean undercut of the support gap low and the 5-day moving average, reclaimed both and closed at a new all-time high up 2.97%. Didn't make a new all-time high, but new all-time closing high for NBIS. Alibaba, Chinese stocks continue to show just incredible relative strength. Alibaba, a new 52-week high, zooming out. It still has quite a bit to go to get to all-time highs, but is the liquid leader in China, acting extremely well. KTUS also at all-time highs, up another 1.7%. Google with the undercut and reclaim of the low of the shakeout, the 20-day moving average, and the support gap. We did rally and kind of get stopped out at the 5 and 10, at least for now. So if we could push that area and the resistance gap, that would be extremely good sign for Google. Still up at another 0.7% today. And then the two stocks that had some pretty big acceleration moves into quarter end because they were just included into the S&P 500, APP and Robinhood, both had consolidation days on lower volume over the 5-day moving average today. APP down 2%, plenty of air to the 5-day here. Not doing anything wrong there. And then Robinhood, slight gap down, down 2.8%, but again on much lighter volume than the previous 2 days. So all the leaders are acting extremely well. 5 of the 9 closed at new, at least 52-week highs. Really good action all around. Getting into the industry ETFs, MSOS, the cannabis ETF, undercut the lows of yesterday's pullback, not quite into the 10-day moving average, and then rallied up, closing well up 5.9%, but on lower volume. This is kind of waiting on news dependent, or it is news dependent, kind of waiting on that rescheduling of cannabis. TAN, the solar ETF, just incredible action today. Yesterday, we had the undercut of the 5, the 10, and the support gap. Closed back above all of them. Today, big gap up, open near the low, close near the high. We take out a previous resistance gap from July of last year. Now, no overhead resistance until $50. So we've got another 11% or so to the upside. And one name that I want to point out with the solar is EMPH. It's not a chart that I've updated too much here, but this was always the stock that I was saying if we get over the 50-day moving average, the rest of the solar stocks will start to trade a little bit cleaner because even though they're grinding higher, you're seeing a lot of like lower wicks, gap ups. It's been really tough to get positioned in solar names, but with EMPH, putting that ugly close under the 50-day, then gapping up, reclaiming it. Hopefully, we get some cleaner action out of solar names. Again, one of the strongest groups in the market, just a little bit tough to trade for now. XLV, the healthcare ETF, huge volume the last 2 days. We had that ugly close under the 50-day moving average on September 25th, followed by a gap up. Best combination that you can get. Ugly close, gap up, reclaim of that a key moving average. Usually a good sign that the trend will continue. And we've broken over kind of all the low or all the highs since the pullback started in April. So really starting to work on its stage one base here. Not quite in a stage two. The 200-day is just going flat now, but definitely a great like 5-day combination here out of XLV. Semiconductors ETF, really strong day today. MU comes to mind. Nvidia at all-time highs. AMD starting to shape up really well. And when semiconductors are making new highs in the market, it's not a market that you want to fight against. This is the type of market that you want to make a lot of money on the long side while it stays hot. And just, we've had incredible price action out of semiconductors. Basically, since this little gap down on September 2nd under the 50-day moving average was a higher low still into that support gap. Super clean action to the upside since then. XME, metal and mining, another new high, just like frozen rope action over the rising 5-day moving average. Same with, where is it? I'm not seeing it right now, but gold miners, oh, GDX, here we go. Gold miners, new all-time high as well. Biotechs, very clean action, up another 1.2%. A little bit sell off at the end of the day, but 4 days basically straight up after the pullback into the 10-day moving average. Very clean action there. The one group that is causing me a little bit of concern is financials, XLF, because we did have a little support gap here. That would be green right under the 20-day moving average. And yesterday we wicked under that, reclaimed the 20, the 10, the 5. And it looked like we were going to be heading back to the upside after that shakeout. But today we gapped down, we closed below on pretty high volume too, not overwhelming volume. But now we have that gap down after the resistance gap to deal with. So XLF, something to watch if we do follow through to the downside. But overall, Like there's so many groups that are participating in this rally. The indexes are at highs. This is just the one thing that's starting to catch my radar as some weakness. Getting into the long setups today, got 15 to go over, so we'll go a little bit quicker on these. First one is OKLO, really high flyer, one of my better trades of the year, buying on September 9th. And then I did sell out of my position into strength, but now looking to get back in. Two different ways to play this. We've had the consolidation, we had the two daily highs right at the 5-day moving average. Through those highs are buyable, stop at whatever the day's low is tomorrow. Or if we get another little pullback, first test of the 20-day moving average after making new highs, when it lines up with the gap zone, is a must buy for my system, especially for a leading stock in a leading theme. So if we do get a sell off into this like 105 area, that's a spot that I feel comfortable really sizing up and trading with a tighter risk, but trying to catch back onto this name. If we break just through the highs of the last 2 days, I'll still take the trade, but with smaller size. RGTI, probably the leading stock in quantum, where IONQ pulled back to the 20-day. RGTI just pulling back to the 10-day, did so on declining volume as well. Today, pulled back into that support gap, didn't quite test the 10-day moving average, rallied up, but then squatted towards the end of the day. So maybe this consolidation isn't quite ready. Just watching that same spot for tomorrow, undercut of the 10-day, of the pullback lows, of the support gap low, and then a reclaim of that area would be buyable. Stop would be 2 or 3%. SoFi, I tried this yesterday and got stopped out because we had this little support gap here. It undercut that and then basically stopped me out in maybe 20 minutes. From there, we did follow through to the downside, and this does have kind of a piece of like financials to it, XLF, that we covered. So this is a kind of do or die spot for this stock, I think, and for the group. But we have a gap zone, kind of a breakout retest right around 25.52. Little undercut and reclaim of that area is buyable, and then the stop. If you could get it to the 50-day moving average, that's like 3%. That's a little wide for me personally. I'll probably just use whatever the low of the day is as my stop. But after losing the 5, the 10, the 20, and with XLF kind of breaking down, if this doesn't respond to this gap zone area, then that group as a whole, I probably just wouldn't focus on trading. ALAB, this is a semiconductor name that didn't really participate in the rally today. Has pulled back quite a bit from 260 to today's low 186, 187, right around that area, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unfilled gap downs. But after that kind of pullback, we're pulling into the 50-day moving average. Couple different ways to play this. Just through today's high, stop at the 50-day would be fine, or an undercut and reclaim of the support gap below, right around 191. Then you can manage your risk a little bit tighter and size it a little bit higher if you want to do that. But anything like semiconductors with SMH being so strong, anything that's lagging right now, I think is just going to get rotation to it. Now, if we close under the 50-day moving average, that would be a sign that, hey, maybe like the main semis got extended. Now the weak ones are starting to fall apart, and now we want to see rotation out of semis. But until that happens, until we have some evidence that semiconductors are failing or pulling back, I want to focus on the stocks that have potential to make very large moves at some key areas to get that next kind of bit of rotation. Next, we have PDD, and I want to go out to a weekly chart on this because it really shows just a massive cup and handle. If I draw this as a ray, it's not perfect, but you can see basically big cup into the 200 week moving average in that consolidation, and now right to the right side of that downtrend line. On a daily chart, it's been right. Yeah. On a daily chart, it's been doing nothing wrong, getting supported at the 20-day, basically at the 20-day, now right at that area. Just looking for a break through the high. Stop would be, I would say, probably the 10-day moving average. That's only about 3%. So keep that on your radar. This is another Chinese stock. So theme of money rotating into Chinese equities is something to keep an eye on, and PDD has this massive base ready to break out of. Snowflake, I probably won't trade this personally. I have had little success trading Snowflake. So I'm just using this as kind of feedback from the market. If we break out over this pivot at like 232 and we actually hold that breakout, just more evidence that this is a very strong bull market. Momentum's still on. We can continue to put new trades to the long side. But if we uppercut and fail, then that's some evidence that one, I don't think this name is like the best name in the market. It's pretty annoying to trade, but also maybe that's a sign that kind of liquid, or sorry, pivots are being used for liquidity to kind of just de-risk and sell into. Going back to the Chinese theme, BIDU, Baidu, beautiful chart here. Absolutely beautiful. From 85 to 140, pull back to the 10-day moving average, higher low pullback to the 10-day moving average. Really good price action today, up, what was it, 4.3%. Ideally, we get a gap down at the open, then can take out the highs of this area. That would be the buy spot versus the 10-day moving average. MP probably taken off a lot of people's radar after all of the volatility here. But that's kind of what I want. I want stocks that maybe aren't on everyone's radar that I can get in at really key do or die spots, size them appropriately, and then when they do work and they get back on people's radar, I'll already have a profit cushion. Let it work. And if it doesn't work, I'll know right away, get stopped out right away, and then won't have to deal with it. So MP obviously can make some massive moves. 18 up to 81. We did make new highs and immediately sold off the next day. Lost the 50-day moving average a couple days later, and then very quiet inside day under the 50-day today. And with two closes under the 50-day, I know some traders will use like two closes under a key moving average as their stop. That's the case. They're stopped out. And that's kind of what I want to see out of a shakeout. So just through today's high, reclaiming the 50-day moving average would be the buy point. Stop would be today's low. Right back to that Chinese theme, FUTU. I've talked about this a couple of times on these videos, but right near all-time highs, one of the few Chinese equities that are right there. Pulling back into the 50-day moving average, that's usually a great risk reward spot. And from there, we put in a higher low. Today was an inside day on almost the lightest volume in the entire pullback. And from contraction comes expansion in one direction or the other. Just looking for a breakthrough the high, stop at below the 50-day moving average. I'll probably use a couple of these daily lows as the stop. But is a name that can trend really well. Was the first name to get going out of the theme, first to pull back to the 50-day, and probably the first to resume the uptrend. Next to our solar names, we talked about the solar ETF, we talked about ENPH. Hopefully these will start to trade a little bit cleaner. First is SEDG. Already has made a massive move off the low, about a 200% move. And when it does get to trend, you can see some notes here, it trends pretty well. Like stage 2 uptrend, stage 3 top, stage 4 downtrend, stage 1 base, stage 2 uptrend. So I'm just looking at a undercut and reclaim of the 10-day moving average of the gap zone low as the entry. Stop would be yesterday's low. NXT basically got like what I wanted to today, but it happened within the first minute. Not the best time to play those like support gap undercuts because you want like some fear to come in, some reason for people to get stopped out to skew that risk reward on your side. So I did not take this trade. I'm still trying to get a solar name. So we'll watch that 10-day moving average, today's low, support gap low, undercut reclaim as the entry, and then stop, I would use like 2 or 3%. VSAT, really high powered name, went from $8 up to 16. So high type flag pulled back to the 20. Secondary high type flag from 18 to 28. Consolidated, pushed at highs, and then has had some stalling action here. But I love the price action today, where in the first like 5 minutes or so, we had a huge undercut of the HVC from earnings, the 50-day moving average, and a support gap. Immediately reclaimed those levels and then closed really well. Now, I would love to see like a dead volume day where it's just extremely light volume, extremely tight price action to set up this pivot at like $30 a little bit better. You could take it through today's high, but I'm not going to without either a dead volume day I'm really looking for a pullback into the support gap zone to play versus the HVC area for VSAT. Next, we have TLRY. This goes back to the kind of cannabis theme that is potentially putting in some higher lows, potentially getting reclassified. Um, as MSOS like rallied back, did not make new highs. TLRY did make new highs on massive volume on September 29th on Monday. And the past 2 days have been just picture perfect price action. Low volume pullback and then extremely low volume compared to Monday's consolidation, still over the 5 day moving average. Whenever you have a red candle close over the 5 day moving average on lighter volume than the previous day after a big candle like this, it immediately goes to the top of my watch list because these are the type of setups that can, I mean, this was up 60% in one day. These are the types of setups that can move your account. It is a $1 stock, like $1.60. So position size accordingly. It's also going to be pretty news driven, but I think it's pretty, I think the risk reward is asymmetrical. Just looking for a break through today's high, stop at the lows of this pullback here. AMSC, another semiconductor type name, pulled into the 20-day moving average, closed right at the support gap and at the 10-day moving average. Would love to see like another pullback into this area so I can manage risk against the earnings close right at 56.70 or so. Through today's high is buyable if you want to buy it on strength. But personally, I will be doing that with ALAB instead of AMSC, just because ALAB is an IPO name, has a little bit more power to it. Um, but AMSC, not doing anything wrong here either. Two quick pullbacks to the 20-day moving average, pretty good price action. Then last we have CRNC. This is a software name. Huge move kind of at the end of last year, beginning of this year. I think it was up, yeah, 143% in one day. And very similar to the quantum names, after those moves, just went sideways for basically the entire year. Now, inside candle, last 2 days, pick up in volume. Just looking for a breakthrough. The high stop would be the 5 day moving average on this. And this I would treat kind of as a performance booster, sizing wise and kind of the way I would take profits. But really, like it has the ability to make massive moves. It's gone through considerable consolidation, so it's not extended. We're in a momentum market. And this is the type of market where these types of names can really get flying. So a name only trades $20 million a day, so size appropriately, but can really get going. Next, we'll get to the short setups. We got 9 to cover. We'll go most liquid to least liquid, just like the longs. First is MSTR. 4 like pretty solid days in a row. I guess yesterday was a little bit of weakness at the 5 and the 10-day moving average. But with Bitcoin strength, this was rocketing off the lows, but we're still below a declining 200-day, below a declining 50-day moving average. This is not participating in the Bitcoin rally. Yes, we bounced off the lows here, which is nice. Not for me because I'm short this. Um, but I don't think that this is going to like start into a brand new uptrend by any means. Couple different areas to watch. The resistance gap high from the gap down September 19th to the 22nd. So like the 345 area, uppercut and fail. I'll probably add a little bit to my short there. But I think like the main spot would be the 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average, and the resistance gap zone right here that we also previously failed at. But as you can see, Bitcoin start putting in like higher lows, and actually like taking out the highs from September 18th. This is already like showing relative weakness. It made new lows where Bitcoin didn't, and it's nowhere near the previous highs. So lots of relative weakness here. But as this starts its stage 4 downtrend, there's going to be plenty of opportunity if it's going to roll over and like really accelerate to the downside. So I'll be patient on like another rally day to really like size this up for a bigger move to the downside. But those are the two spots I'll be watching. Costco, if you take a look around the market, anywhere where the average person spends money is starting a stage 4 downtrend, which is obviously not great for the economy. You could take a look at any food stocks, Kava, Chipotle, um, Sprouts grocery store, and now Costco. Getting into stage four, gap down on earnings, had one day bouncing back to the 5 day into the resistance gap. Today, some more weakness. Um, I want to see a little rally into the 5 day at that 924, 925 area so I can manage my risk against the 10 day. But after a beautiful stage two uptrend and a stage three top, with the weakness in the economy, and again, anything that the average person is spending money on is breaking down very quickly. This is another name to get short. GEV, I probably won't short this just because the kind of AI energy theme is so strong, but it is the weakest or one of the weaker names in that group. The 50 day is still sloping up, which is why I wouldn't want to short this on weakness. I would want to short this on a pop. Today we had another gap down, pick up in volume, but we held the support gap. So maybe this is just a higher low overall, and then we can start to rally again. But I've got alerts at the 50 day moving average right around 625 as a potential entry for the short. Stop would be the previous, I guess, lower high here at 650. STX starting to get into blow off top territory. Not quite there yet, but I'm keeping this on my radar. $64 up to $256. Obviously, beautiful move on the long side, like exactly what you want. Definitely a good chart to study. But today's action is starting to make me think that we're towards the end of this move. Really, really big volume. Not the highest volume overall in the move, but the highest dollar volume. $9 million or 9 million shares at $256 is more than 12 million at 150. So I just drew a line across the top here. If we get a gap up and then a green to red move, potentially a short there. But I would love to see like another 1 or 2 days like we got today to really extend it to the upside and set up the parabolic short a little bit better. SMR, another weak energy name. This is in the nuclear theme, and we've covered LEU as the leader, making new highs. OKLO, lots of power, kind of a secondary name that I'm watching to buy tomorrow. This name is under all the key moving averages, not really participating, has failed at a resistance gap, had three gap downs from that point. So obviously relatively weak compared to the other stocks in the theme. I am watching the 10 and the 20 day moving average in the gap zone at 38.20. But again, given how strong the market is, given how strong the theme is, I really think the best spot is into this 50 day moving average, into the resistance gap, right around $40 as the short entry. And then you can manage your risk around $42. Royal Caribbean, another thing that average people spend money on, made a new high on August 28th, but only for 2 days or so. Then we had a resistance gap down, lost the 20 day moving average, another gap down, lost the 50 day, tried to reclaim both of those on the CCL, Carnival Cruise Lines, gap up on their earnings. That has just sold off, and now this is rolling lower. Just looking for a bounce test of the gap zone, the 5 day moving average at 323 as the entry. Stop would be the 50 day moving average. CAR, this is Avis Budget, big gap down. I think this, yeah, on earnings, another gap down shortly after. Then we just went sideways. Uppercut and fail the 50 day moving average today, close on the low of the day at the 20 day. Just a break through today's low would be the entry, stop at the 50 day. DFDV, this was on the short watch list again yesterday. Took out the lows and then closed basically flat on the day. Just another move through those lows would be the short, stop at today's high. And finally, QMCO. It has quantum in the name. It's not actually like a quantum company. As you can see from the price action, it made a move from $3 up to $90 back in December of last year. And then all the other quantum names are making new highs. This is not, because it's not a real quantum name. It did have a sympathy bounce from $6 up to $12 recently, but into this resistance gap, and we failed at that area. So that's the spot I'm looking at. I want to see a rally into that 1187, right around $12. And then once it loses the resistance gap area, that would be the short versus whatever the high of the day is. So that's going to be the daily market recap for October 1st. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want my market takes throughout the trading day, along with a live stream at the open, you can sign up for the Market Pulse Discord using the link in the comment section. I hope you have a great day and go Cubs tomorrow. Have to get that game 3 win. See you guys in tomorrow's video. Take care.